All right, everyone. This is episode number 4. All right. So, yeah, we are back again. I think we're going to take it off where we left off the other episode. And yeah, so in the other episode, we spoke about, having, being a practicing Muslim, wanting to be a practicing Muslim, but at the same time, you also want to be part of society. You want to be part of this, this worldly life, this dunya, which obviously we have to participate in and try to do our best to strive for, etc. But, feeling, stuck between two walls, right? You want to practice it, but it's difficult. You have some obstacles which you have to overcome. But still you want to, be successful financially and, so how to cope with that. So actually I was interested in how you grew up, right? In that kind of environment, because obviously you're from Moroccan descent. You have two parents, they are from Morocco. You grew up basically in in English we call it a ghetto, right? It's a bit of
Small ghetto.
a small ghetto. It's a bit of a difficult environment, I would say. It's there's some criminality there, right? So, and obviously there's a lot of youth there, I think, also from Islamic backgrounds, but at the same time they are searching. I think I can imagine that it's not easy for youth growing up in that environment and to understand what to achieve, how to achieve it. Do they sometimes don't even have the guidance, right? The role model that guides them through it. So I was actually wondering, from your standpoint, how did you experience it growing up in that environment and trying to figure out basically life?
I still try to figure it out, to be honest. It is. I think everybody needs to define it for itself, for themselves. I mean, it's really difficult to say, okay, what I'm saying this is right or wrong or something like that. I think everybody has his own journey, his own struggles and everything. But I think if I can speak for many people, is that I always try to see life like as a river. That means I see like a side of the water which is I should go, I should swim to it. This is the right thing. As I see, it's Islam. It is the akhirah, the hereafter. But at the same time, the river, the water, which is inside, like it drags you down, and that is the world. That's how I see it. And with many people which I've been growing up with is, one goes to school, one becomes a criminal. When I became 14, 15, there were some friends of mine, they were driving scooters and try to be a drugs dealer. And then you're going to see the world as this is something normal, right?
Yeah.
So for people like rich kids, let's say the wealthy people, for them something that's totally wrong. I mean, this is true, this is wrong, but I think for every parents, it's their responsibility to take care of the kids, to give them the right tools, the right guidance. So at the end of the day, you cannot blame the kid themselves, but I think, in my opinion, you should blame the parents, right? The parents should guide the children, and not say, hey, just go outside, play around, and just come after a couple of hours, come home and do whatever you want. But can you really blame them? It's really difficult to say because they're coming from some other cultures, some other countries. And actually, what was it? I think if you can compare to UK, the Netherlands, I think even in the United States, it's different nationalities, right? With a background that the father's like working in factories and those kind of stuff, right? Low paid jobs, and the father is not there, and the mother is really difficult to raise a lot of children, and all these nationalities coming on one side, in one place, and that's where you really learn the real world. So at some point you say, okay, you learn many things, but at some point you say, hey, wait a second, it's a big chance that one of these kids or one of these youngsters, they can end up like in a criminal environment. And it's really difficult to say for as in person, really. I think that's
Yeah.
my opinion. But I think you grew up a little bit different.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, everybody has his own stuff, own environment. But yeah, I think this is what I have experienced. But
Yeah.
would you say it ghetto? No, I don't want to say it.
Yeah. So did you also experience like difficulties later on, like because I know you did work a lot of part-time jobs, right, in supermarkets and delivery services, right? You did a lot of. I think you have a lot of, you had a lot of jobs at your
I
job.
had
Did you have any like
I did. But
with?
for me, I had a big advantage. I didn't care what people were saying.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
was 15. I was 15, and I remember I was applying for a job,
Hmm.
and this sounds maybe really crazy, but I was dedicated. I can get a job, right? And I was like refused multiple times. I
Yeah.
never blamed like, hey, you know what, because of my name, because of my
Yeah.
background or whatsoever. Somehow I never blamed that.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest supermarkets in the Netherlands. I think Europe. Um, I tried to get a job interview for 2 up to 3 times. I think when I applied for the fourth time, I get a job.
Hmm.
Crazy, right?
Yeah.
I thought, okay, if I apply for a job, they receive an email or they receive something and they put it down,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And if I apply many times, somehow they will see my name. That's how I thought,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. So you increase your chances basically.
Yes, exactly.
Smart.
I
Smart.
was thinking like that.
Yeah.
It sounds crazy now.
Yeah.
And I think after 2 months, I left that job because
Mhm.
I wasn't paid enough. And because I asked my manager, give me more hours.
Yeah.
I'm not going to work like for 2 hours in an evening,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
He wasn't satisfied with the hours.
It wasn't
Yeah.
satisfied. So I get another job I think I got like 400 euros. I think, let's say approximately $400
Mm.
a month. I was 15, 16. It was huge for me. It was a lot of
Yeah.
money.
Yeah.
I mean, really a lot of money. And it's still a lot of money. And I can remember I was like the second job, that was supermarket. That supermarket shop, right, was in the same neighborhood where I was grown with my
Yeah.
friends, and I mean they could see me every day,
Yeah.
and they made every time joke of me, right? He's working, but to be honest, I wasn't the richest of them. I got a lot of money. I could tell my mother like, hey, here, $100.
So actually, your friends and your environment was saying like they were making fun of you that you
They're
started
making
working.
fun of me, but they respect me at the same time because I had
Yeah.
like an. It sounds maybe crazy, but I had like a position within the group. I wasn't
Yeah,
like the
yeah.
one that gets teased and everything. I was teasing them. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I had already like a kind of position.
Okay.
Everybody has it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I was respected as well. But just to get back to your question, the funny thing was I was mopping the floor. My friends, they were passing the window and they were like making a video and like it was. I didn't care because I know at the end of the month I have more money than you, and my mindset was bringing me way far than what they had.
Yeah.
And I believe I want to talk bad about them. I love them, still love them.
Yeah.
But some of them, they still end up as criminal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's the difference.
That is the difference.
Yeah.
And I think if you're just talking back about you, I mean, with being a football player, it's always, you need to sacrifice, right?
Yeah. Of
To
course.
get somewhere. And
Yeah.
what it's difficult or easy, I mean, you have to sacrifice, right? But how we choose, pointed out to the youngsters. I mean, look, you're totally different youth. Like, for example, me, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But how was that?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think like you said, it's spot on. Like it's all mindset. Even in this story that you just mentioned, like you could also take the victim role, right? Saying, okay, my name is Walid. For sure, if I'm gonna apply for a job, they see my name, and it does happen for sure. It's a fact in the Western society. You will be refused because of your name only, or wearing hijab or whatever. But in any way, you didn't take the victim role, even though maybe you didn't do it consciously. You did, and what did you do? You started applying more. You started right. So
It worked.
and it worked, right? So that's funny. So like you didn't think in the role of a victim. You started thinking, okay, in solutions, right? And that's so important. It's all about mindset, right? Yesterday we had a meeting with 10 of our employees, right? And it was all about mindset, right? Trying to change the mindset, right? And I think that's so good. And like a good story that you just also mentioned is like you were mopping the floor, which is, it's like a humbling job, right? Of course, not everybody likes to do that. Even at home, we don't like to do it. But imagine doing that in a shop where every customer comes, and in this case also your environment, right? Whereas your friends, which most of the people we do, want to show off or show that we are doing well, whatever, and mopping the floor is like a bit humbling, right? But still, then you decided, I don't care. I'm looking long term. At the end of the day, end of the month, I have a better salary on my bank account, and you don't.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's a sacrifice you're saying, because you could also have decided from, what, no, I'm not gonna do this. This is downgrading. This is, I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna go for the quick and easy route. Go what you said, sell drugs or whatnot. And yeah, obviously that's, I think that only increased, even though you're still young. But I think now this generation is even worse than before. You don't think so?
Yeah,
How's the
you
youth
can see
now?
it from the two sides. I believe that you can see that from a side that they haven't experienced that hood side, like you playing outside, you fight outside, uh, and after 5 minutes you hug each other. Um, I can remember back in the days I had 3 friends, 4 friends. I couldn't even call them. I just went passing by their home, and after 2 hours, like walking at the other side of the neighborhood, tried to knock on the door. Hey, are you at home? They
Yeah,
weren't at home, and then at the day, okay, nobody was able to get outside or something, and I just got back home.
yeah,
I mean, that was my youth.
yeah,
I'm 25, but I still lucky that I have experienced like no phones. Of course,
yeah,
there were like PlayStation 2 or something or
yeah, yeah.
Nintendo, but
Not like now. Yeah,
not like now. And I think what I see, I think that's a disadvantage for the youngsters. I
yeah,
think an advantage is they get smarter. They get smarter. They see technology. I
yeah,
think
yeah,
what people say is like you shouldn't give them a phone. I think okay, but teach them how to use the phone
yeah.
instead
That's
of
a very
remove
good
the phone.
point. Yeah,
You know what I mean? Instead of telling them go outside, teach them how to go outside. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
Because you cannot blame a kid who was just born and saw the world. Hey, wait a sec, I see a tablet, I see a laptop.
yeah,
You cannot blame him. You
yeah.
can blame the adults because we made it, we created, right?
Right.
I think you have to teach the youngsters like how to use it,
Yeah,
right? Instead of like, hey, don't do it. Hey,
yeah,
because what we do is always, I think, especially the elder people, right? Back in our time was way better.
yeah, yeah,
I think this time is way better
yeah,
for us.
yeah,
For you was back in the days, right? You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
I think you just have to teach them. And I especially you can compare with work, with business. Okay, you can compare with religion, yeah, and so on. That's
yeah,
what I how I see it.
yeah,
But how was it back for you then? I mean, like I said, you've been growing up in a different way, right?
yeah.
I assume was not that ghetto. You know what
No,
I mean? I mean, for
yeah,
many people, but it wasn't that ghetto, right?
yeah,
But doesn't mean it's bad or good. But how was that for you?
yeah. Correct. Yeah, definitely. We grew up in a multicultural environment. Definitely, where different nationalities living around us, and we didn't definitely not grow up in a rich area. It was just my parents were really responsible parents. They turned every single dime they had, they turned it around before spending it. And I think I was just very lucky with and but still also very challenging with a lot of guidance, right? Um, my father was on top of it. He came from Morocco, and we all know, he was extremely poor. If we talk about poordom, he was 12 years old. He got his first shoes at 12 years old, and he had to all those years had to walk through the mountains every single day, 5 kilometers going towards the school without barefoot and coming back. Winter, summer, doesn't matter. So we can imagine what kind of you know poverty he grew up in. So coming to the Netherlands, he was really on top of it. So he really, made sure that we understood that we have it really well and we have to grab the opportunity. So in this case, for me, it was football. My sister, it was study, and she became a doctor. And now, and the football was also for my brother, but he didn't make it. But now he's a successful entrepreneur. So guidance definitely helps, right? And unfortunately, in these kind of environments that you grew up in, it shows. Let's call it as it is. There's a lack of guidance from parents. From even brothers, sisters, whatnot. But you can't blame the siblings, to be honest. But I think parents, have to take the responsibility there.
But that brings at the same time like that kind of hunger, right? Because when you're
Yeah.
poor, you don't have much money. It makes you hungry to make more. I
Yeah.
think this is also what the new youngsters are missing.
Yeah, definitely.
But how would you say, like, for example, what should motivate them? Because look, you're successful,
Yeah.
right? Successful football player. You have achieved a lot of things. Alhamdulillah, you're successful with business and everything will be better, inshallah. But my question is, like, you got kids,
Yeah.
right? How would you bring them? Like, how would you advise them? Not only your kids, but also the new youngsters. Like, okay, what should motivate them? I mean,
Yeah.
if they are like getting everything what they want.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. I think there's two different types of youth, right? So you have the one that still is the small Walid growing up in different difficult environments, don't have the money and all of those kind of things, all the luxuries. And you have different, kids that do have, like here in Dubai, for example, if I hear the stories of my oldest son about kids getting pocket money of, I think, some 7,000 dirhams a month,
Oh,
pocket
wow.
money, right? Then it doesn't make sense at all, right? So, and I remember, so what I did is, and still do is, sometimes he's kids nowadays, they are very smart. So they go on the internet and start looking at the net worth of people. So that's what he did with me as well, right? And if it's correct or not, that's a different point. But the information is there, and he said, "Dad, I saw that your net worth is this and this and this and this." Or he said something, our net worth, or something like that. So I made him clear. I said, "Listen, boy," I said, "this money is mine. I worked for it. It's mine. It's not yours, right? Yes, you benefit of it, meaning I have to take care of you and I will provide for you because that's my responsibility. But at the end of the day, when you grow up, it's not yours. You have to fight for it yourself, right? You make it clear and really clear, and you stick to it because trust me, it's not going to happen. He's not going to touch a dime. Yes, I will support him, but in a mental way, in a knowledge way, and all of these kind of ways. But financially, no way.
Like, you're not giving him the fish, but you teach him how to fish.
Exactly.
know
Yeah.
what
This
I-
is the
I
best
think that's also
example.
a big, huge problem. They're getting comfortable. They don't know the real world.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But if I'm gonna compare it back in the days, because I didn't have that guidance. I mean, I got a lot of love from my mother, and I mean, I appreciate it from till to today,
Yeah.
right? But if we look, for example, as in tools, guidance, right? I mean, you probably can tell your kids. I mean, I know him, of course, but he's 11 years old and he talks about ROI. He
Yeah.
talks about investments.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, that is great. That's what I'm trying to say. That's an advantage, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But many people, they don't know. I mean, I have been working in real estate. I have clients who are 30 years old. I'm asking them, what kind of ROI do you want to achieve with your investment? They say, what?
Yeah.
ROI?
Yeah.
Man, I'm getting shocked. I mean, this is the first question you ask every investor, whether it's
Yeah.
real estate, whether it is like you investing in a sofa company. I don't care. You know
Yeah,
what?
yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was in shock.
Yeah.
But many kids, they want to start something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They want to start a business,
Yeah.
but they don't know.
Correct.
I mean, if I ask you, right, you got kids, how do you advise them?
Yeah. So the times that we live in now is definitely the best and easiest time to start a business and become successful. Yes, the competition has increased drastically, but therefore also the clientele has increased. So the opportunities have increased. So the phone that we are talking about, you mentioned it. I'm from the time that we have the Nintendo 64, and that when we want to use the internet, the phone isn't working because you have to choose the one or the other. So this is a different time. But nowadays we have the phone, and you literally can start a business within a day, right? And you don't even need a lot of capital for it. So this is what I try to, teach my kids. Look, there's a lot of opportunities, and I'm not saying you should not become an employee. No, for everyone, Everybody has their own, some people don't want the stress of entrepreneurship because there's a lot of stress there as well. But I think you should always at least try it, right? Because especially at a young age, there's not too much risk. Either you live with your family, your parents, right? So there's not a lot of cost, no overhead, right? So there's a lot of the ROI, which you mentioned, is huge, right? If you try it, there's a huge reward at the end of the day. Minimally, you will get a lot of lessons from out of it, right? So what I say to youth is, look, start, just start. And then you would ask, okay, where do I start? How do I start, right? So, and then I always say it's curiosity, right? Being curious. That's the most important characteristic of success. Being curious, always asking the questions, how does this work? What is that? And it doesn't mean you have to be curious in everything, because obviously you like some things which I don't like, and vice versa.
But it's something funny, right? I mean, people, they want millions. They want, I want to be a multi-millionaire, or I want to be a millionaire. But how often they ask the question on Google, for example, just take it randomly, Google, right?
Yeah.
How to become a millionaire?
Yeah.
They never ask that question.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? At least I assume that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is something the same with me.
Yeah.
I mean, I search something. I want to become a millionaire, but I never asked that question on Google.
Yeah.
Okay, probably it's not gonna say you like everything how to become. It gives you a little bit guideline.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
And the good point is obviously when you type in that question, how can I become a millionaire? It doesn't mean you get the answer, but it opens a door to another door, which eventually opens the doors towards becoming a millionaire. So that's what I mean by being curious. What is behind that door? What is behind that question, right? And therefore, you need to keep asking a lot of questions and search it. That's what I do now, for example, with my son. Yes, he doesn't have a phone. But under guidance, sometimes he is on the computer. He has his iPad or whatever, but he doesn't have a phone. But now he's in the Netherlands. He sometimes does have a phone because obviously in the Netherlands is a different environment. We want to be in touch with him. So anyway, he's sometimes WhatsApping me. So what I do now is I send him videos, which I think might benefit him. And when he does that, he presses on it and his algorithm changes. His algorithm on his timeline changes.
Yeah,
because
on
obviously,
YouTube, you mean, right?
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
on YouTube. So obviously, kids nowadays, they watch all those streamers and I don't know what, which are all nonsense. And so what happens is his timeline drops him only nonsense. So I want to change his timeline and send him videos, which he clicks on, and then therefore gets better videos. And then funny enough, he starts sending me also videos which are more beneficial, right? So what I mean is like, be curious, and that will lead to a lot of benefits, and that would lead eventually to understanding. You get knowledge, right? And with that knowledge, things start clearing up, right? Because you have to see it like this. When you start off, that Walid, which is in that environment, the young Walid, which is many of them, they are still out there all around the world. They are trying to figure out, but where do I start? It starts with asking those questions, using your device properly, and then it's like a map which is still foggy, right? There's a lot of fog, so you don't see the map clearly. But the moment you start discovering, right, and you start increasing your knowledge, the fog starts slowly disappearing and the map becomes more visible.
Yeah,
and it starts becoming more clearly. And then you start thinking, oh, hey, there might be an opportunity.
You got to start somewhere. That's
exactly. And there might be an opportunity. It's like in playing the games. When you play the games nowadays, the map isn't fully accessible. It's still foggy, right?
Yeah.
And then when you start exploring, the map starts opening up.
Correct.
And along the way, you start acquiring knowledge and you start seeing opportunities and you see what's possible, right? So I think because of the kids nowadays, they don't know where to start. And obviously they're being bombarded with nonsense, right? And their timeline stays that way. They get stuck. So start asking the right questions. Like you said, how can I become a millionaire? How can I make money online? Right?
Yeah,
How did this person become a millionaire? Start start watching videos about successful entrepreneurs.
It comes back to don't blame yourself, but don't blame others, but blame yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Look at yourself.
Exactly.
But it's pretty
Yeah.
funny because when I came to Dubai, like almost 5 years back, my English wasn't that well. I'm not saying it's now perfect, but it
Yeah.
wasn't that well. And I was really scared when I started the real estate. I hadn't the right tools,
Yeah.
right? I mean, shout out to Fam Properties, Firas Al Masadi. And he gave us like the tools where you can start. Or you got to figure out how you have to develop yourself, how to give it a strategy, how to
Yeah.
approach things. But it was pretty fun. I get just data and I had to call people. I get a phone and just figure it out.
Yeah.
You know, and generate clients, generate listings, generate those kind of things. I mean, I could say, okay, you know, I could blame Firas, you know, I could
Yeah.
blame many others. I could blame my English teacher. I could blame, you know, many people, many
Yeah.
things. But the moment I start doing it, it was pretty funny. I was just get into it. I got the feeling, you know, it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
I mean, to experience that journey. And
Yeah.
I think what many people think, and not only the youngsters, I think still even the adults think, you know what? I need first the right tools, then I can start.
Yeah.
I need
correct.
first money, then I can start.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
start somewhere.
Correct.
Because I think that's one of the biggest mistakes people make.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I need the right investor to start. No, just
Yeah.
start somewhere and then
Yeah.
automatically doors will open up for you, etc. Right?
Yeah. Correct. Yeah.
Okay, but I was in a position that I had a wealthy family, right? You're Allahumma barik, you're mashallah wealthy, and you have like you have kids, right? And you're one of your kids coming with an idea like, hey, dad, look, I got a great idea. This is the plan. This is the blueprint.
Yeah.
I want to execute it in this way,
Yeah.
right? You obviously can say, okay, buddy, like here 50K or 100K, for example,
Yeah.
do it, right?
Yeah.
What about kids who doesn't have a wealthy parents, right? And they have a great idea,
Yeah.
but they stuck with the mindset like, hey, wait a second, I need this before I start. How about that?
Yeah, so that's a good question. Even though I wouldn't give them that money for sure, I wouldn't give it to them. I would treat them just as they are a poor kid because they have to, you know, start from the ground up, right? Obviously, when their idea is extremely good and I see they are really responsible and they have, you know, earned their stripes, so to say, then it's a different story. But what I would say to, you know, the youth that don't know, they don't have the capital or the financials, and they think that keeps them from starting, is then I would say wake up, because this device is extremely valuable, right? Yesterday we had the meeting, right, with 10 of our employees, and instead of telling them what to do and, you know, what's going wrong and which improvements we have to make, yes, we discussed that as well. But most of the 5 hours that we spent with them was about their mindset, trying to change their mindset, trying to wake them up, right? Showing them that on this device is millions of dollars of knowledge, of value available. But it's just
good advice for free.
exactly, and it's all for free. So what we yesterday we used one of the videos of Jim Rohn, right, which is a speaker in America, which is a legend in the speaking, motivational speaker, etc. And his audience were all CEOs and all, you know, business owners. But trust me, they have spent a lot of dollars to sit with him and listen to his meeting. But this lecture of his is available.
It's crazy.
Online.
But you can compare with, like, if we're just gonna talk a little bit about Islam. I mean, look just at the book of Sahih al-Bukhari.
Yeah.
I mean, Imam Bukhari had to travel like decades, hours,
Yeah.
years,
Yeah.
just to get one hadith.
Yeah.
We can just search it up and we can get it.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny, right?
Yeah.
And this is, I think you agree with me, and many people agree with me, is that, again, you know, you cannot tell the youngsters like, don't use the phone.
Yeah.
That's wrong. I think you have to teach them how to use it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Instead of watching YouTube and watching those streamers. I mean, I'm not
Correct.
saying they are bad, but
Yeah.
if you just kind of feed it up with each other, on each other, I
Yeah.
mean, it's gonna be nonsense, right?
Most of them, they don't provide value. Like, yes, they provide entertainment, which is a certain value, but it doesn't bring you anywhere.
Not for the long term.
Not for the long term. It brings them value, because at the end of the day, they get value out of it. But anyway, that's a different topic. We can talk a whole podcast about it. But again, like you said, the value, the opportunities are immense, but it's just you have to, search. You have to try to, and the willingness to find it, right? But it starts with the mindset, the change of mindset. Ask the right question on this device, and you will start increasing your knowledge, right? I said it in the other podcast, because at the end of the day, also the youth nowadays, they want immediately the rewards, right? They don't want the entire process towards it.
Well, it's not something that is inside the human.
Yeah.
It's from all the generations, right? I'm not saying
Yeah.
like that's. Of course, it's a bit different, but
Yeah.
it was from all the generations, right?
Yeah, but why are the quick fixes the quick wealth fixes? So why the big scams, the Ponzi schemes, so popular? Why are what's it called? Weight loss quick fixes so popular? Why are relationship quick fixes so popular? It's because it's all quick fixes, right? Somebody comes with a Ponzi scheme and tells you the ROI is 25% a year. That's quick. Normally it's 6-7% if you're lucky.
People they want to put less effort,
Yeah,
big results.
exactly.
And it's not natural, actually.
Yeah, exactly. But it still happens with
Yeah.
the most sophisticated entrepreneurs. The biggest Ponzi scheme is the Madoff Ponzi scheme, which was a huge $1 billion Ponzi scheme just before the 2008 financial crisis. And it collapsed. But if you see who were involved, all successful entrepreneurs, but they still fell for it. Why? Because it was a huge reward they would get quickly, right? And it was too good to be true. So they still fell for it. So again, like you said, yes, it is the human. The human is weak in that sense. They like the quick fixes. Everybody is tempted for it. Everybody will fall into it one way or the other. But again, that's why you have to be aware of it, that there are no quick fixes. And that's what you have to be teach when you're young.
Like you have the same with cryptocurrency, right? With Bitcoin.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody thinks, hey, you know what? I just spent 10K. I make like $1 million.
Exactly.
Like that's normal. It's abnormal.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody in cryptocurrency, or they hear cryptocurrency, they hear Bitcoin, they think, you know what? This is a quick fix. I'm going to get rich quickly. I'm going to borrow so much money.
But is that wrong?
Yeah, it's the
So
wrong
having
mindset.
those thoughts, is that wrong? If a kid of 16 years old, he thinks I'm gonna just invest 3K, which I've been working for to settle my mom to have her in a good place. Is that wrong?
Yeah, it is. Well, it's not wrong if you succeed into it and you will spend it that way. But 9 out of 10 times,
I can't handle it.
it won't go that way, because again, I mentioned that in the other episode as well, and it's an extreme important 5-step formula that you should really understand as a person. Is it always starts with knowledge, and if you increase your knowledge and you implement it, it becomes a skill, right? And if you keep implementing that skill, it becomes your network, because from that you start building a network. And if you build a great network, you start building resources, because your network becomes your resource. And then when you have that resources in your, in your environment, and you can tap into that resource, you can build things that create a reputation. Because at the end of the day, we all want that reputation. We all want to be known as the successful CEO, the successful investor, successful sports person, the successful whatever it is. And success, we want to be known for it. So that's the reputation.
They went through the journey.
Exactly.
And you cannot miss any step, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
you can't miss any step, because it will bite you afterwards. And the thing is with those 5-step formula is that the reputation you can lose always. Even though you have a huge reputation, you can lose it in one go. Same as for your resources. You can lose them within a day. And the same for your network. You will lose them as well. But you can never lose the first two, the knowledge and the skills. The skills and knowledge will always stay with you and will always stick with you. And you can always rely on them. Even on your network and on your resources, which are built out of that network, you can't always rely on them, right? Because yes, might have a great network, but you can't always step into that. whenever you want. You can't always say, hey, I have a great idea, let me tap into it. No, people have, their own issues.
Because the growth of the people, they're not thinking like that, right? But if it
Correct.
comes down to leadership, because
Yeah.
we're running a company, right?
Yeah.
One of the, I would say, the best home services in Dubai, and soon the whole UAE. But if it comes, inshallah, if it comes down to leadership, how do you bring this message?
Yeah.
Or let me say it like, how do you express this message to the employees? I mean, many of them, they're coming with one mindset. I want to come here to Dubai to make money for my family.
Yeah. So leadership, the word says it all. Leading, right? So you're leading by example, right? It's not telling people what to do. It's letting them understand why we do it and why it's so important that we do it, and that we do it in such a way that we would be respected for it if we do it, right? So what many people have, and that's why we have a lot of different types of leaderships. But nowadays, if you want to build something really big and successful, this is the way to go for it. So you have to lead by example, right? We gave yesterday in the meeting, we had this one video, right? Where you saw the leader, he wanted to climb the big mountain, right? The big wall.
Yeah.
Right? But he wasn't able to do it by himself, right? He needed his entire team. So what happened? They all came and started making a ladder out of the humans. And eventually the
Collaborate
leader...
with each other.
Exactly. And eventually the leader came on top. And he succeeded. And the success was there. But what did he do? He didn't decide to go by himself. He took the rope, let it fall down, and brought up his entire team.
Yeah.
And he didn't run towards success. He waited until every single one of them ran towards the success, and then he went after them. So this is the example of a leader, right? So this is, I'm convinced, the way you should lead any company, any football club for that matter, right? Because I've played with many different coaches. I had many different coaches, like we mentioned in the other podcast. We had Nigel Clough, right, which was very, aggressive, dictatorial, right? He wanted just to, it's my way or the highway, right? But another one would be Erik ten Hag, right? At Man United now. I had him at FC Utrecht, a totally different opposite, right? So
Because he believes in processes.
exactly.
He dives into the human being behind the football player.
Yeah, exactly. And he's not perfect. I mean, he still had a lot of things to improve, but you could see he's trying to empower the player, right? He's trying to make him understand why it is important to make those runs, why it is important to defend this way, why is it important for you to sleep and have good nutrition.
And using the skills of the player.
Yeah, exactly.
In his advantage.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
therefore he was able to go to Ajax, and he did the same at Ajax. And therefore he was able to go to Man United. And even there he brings players with him from the past. So that's quite good, leadership.
But it's also something, yeah, exactly. But it's also something with leadership. Leadership's actually using the skills of the people you hire, right?
Yeah.
I mean, what is the sense, or what is the logic sense behind hire those people but making still your own decisions?
Yeah.
I mean, doesn't make sense, right?
Yeah,
You
correct.
can just fire them and do it on your own.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. That's it. The main reason why we hire people is to, let them also do what they are good at, and maybe even better at than you. Because look, at the end of the day, yes, we have skills, but we have to stay in our strengths, right? You're going to hire someone, don't walk in front of his shoes, make him feel that he's important, and make him feel why he should improve our company. And give him the feeling that, yes, I trust you, go for it. But still, there should be structures in place. Yesterday, we spoke about it, right? About our KPI system, which we want to implement within the company.
Yeah.
And we explained to them, look, it's not for controlling you, right? It is for trying to improve the company and make you also improve and, to build structures, right? So yes, we trust you. We trust when you go to the client that you will do a good job, but still we need that data. Still we need that structures in place. And this was something that Erik ten Hag was really good at, right? He had a great vision, And
it has impact. I mean,
definitely.
if you show your employees or your teammates good behavior, you show them ethics. You show them like the core values of the company. It reflects.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
reflects. You
Most
know,
definitely.
like you're a parent, and reflects to your children.
Yeah.
I can
Yeah.
remember also like one of my managers. I think my first manager at Fan Properties. I think he was a pretty good manager, but sometimes he showed me that lying to the clients or slightly lying to the clients may benefit the deal.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it has impact.
Yeah.
Because I see that those, I don't want to say the word stupid, but I want to say those other ex-colleagues which just following exactly the way he did it.
Yeah.
Just for example, when you have a client in real estate and you want to just get a listing, right? And it sounds really boring if you say, hey, my name is Walid from blah, 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 blah. Are you looking for your property to sell or buy, right? It's
Yeah.
boring.
Yeah.
And this guy you're getting many times. You
Yeah.
shut up the phone and say, hey, buy. You disconnect the phone, I want to say. So what some people they did is like, hey, for example, hey, Nasser, I have already some clients for your property, but they haven't clients at all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the funny part of it, I had one guy, I told him I was interested to sell you property. He said, do you have client? I told him, I'm going to be honest, I don't have any client. I believe if I list your property, I get clients.
Yeah.
And he said, yeah, it's pretty honest of you.
Yeah.
But I'm not looking for sell. I didn't get my result, which I want, but
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I don't lose my ethics.
That's it.
You know what I mean?
Ethics.
And
Wow. Yeah.
for the short term, you won't make money. And
Exactly.
that is the truth, you know. The truth.
Exactly.
I think in the long term, that's why I said in my previous video,
Yeah.
this video actually, when I was mopping the floor, I could go with the guys, you know, I'm mopping the floor, I won't maybe get the ladies who are looking for guys, the young guys who have money. I just kept my ethics.
Yeah.
You know, I know for long term, there's
Yeah.
gonna be result in a lot of money or success
Exactly.
in my way. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, that's actually
And that's a very strong example that you give there because, yes, you mentioned him already, Firas, obviously the owner of Fan Properties. I've mentioned him to him as well. You know, honesty is so key, and this is how you can differentiate yourself as a real estate agent. If you really want to differentiate yourself as a real estate agent, you have to be honest at all times and even at your cost. Meaning that you know that if you're going to tell the truth, that it might be that most probably you're going to lose the deal. Still tell the truth.
or the upcoming deals.
Yeah, or the upcoming, it doesn't matter.
How many times? I mean, even somebody who has tons of millions
Yeah,
buys a studio, right?
yeah,
And he buys a studio maybe for an employee of his, maybe for his son, maybe for someone else, right?
yeah,
But he might ask you if you just deal with him correctly. That he asks, hey, I'm looking for a mansion of 6 bedroom.
yeah. That's
You
it.
never know, right?
That's it.
And that's the craziest thing.
That's
You think,
it.
and I had many times, like when I was an agent, that like they were looking down to people who didn't have much money.
Yeah, yeah.
Like he has just 300
Yeah, that
thousand.
really baffles me, man.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
Oh, 1.2 million dirhams is nothing.
Yeah, yeah.
You never know what's real in the pocket.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Wow,
So
wow.
we're looking like short side.
Yeah.
I'm always giving the example like they're looking at the height of their nose. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you look to your nose, you're not looking far.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You have to look far, and your nose is not that big as your vision, right?
Yeah.
I mean, but I have many times I have experienced that. Like people, they just laughing, and that's the funny part. People laughing about investors who doesn't have much money, but they're just struggling to get like only 2K, 3K in a month
Yeah.
just to pay their rent.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, but let's be honest. If somebody buys a property, it's mostly minimum. You're talking about $300K or whatever,
Yeah,
$200K.
it's the average.
Do you have $300K in your pocket
exactly.
right now? Right. So that's true because obviously I'm a real estate investor as well, right? I've invested since my first property. We bought it when I was 18, when I was playing for Arsenal at that time. So even though I wasn't conscious investing, I was still an investor at that time already. So I know exactly how investors feel, and you have to appreciate them, and you have to, and I'm talking about real estate investing, really, value them, right? And doesn't matter at what budget they come to you, because even though I might be in the market now for a studio, right? But next month I might be in the market for a mansion. You don't know what my plans are. You don't know what my idea is, right? You don't know what my future holds. Maybe I have my budget is 200K now, but maybe I have some other investments you
But
don't
it's
know
pretty
about.
funny because somebody who has $1 million would never spend $1 million on a property,
Yeah,
right? If somebody has, like, for example, $500,000, you never know. Maybe he has a 3 or 4 million other.
exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
On the side, and that's pretty
Yeah.
funny. And we come back to what quick
Yeah.
fix.
That's it.
Like making quick money.
Short-sighted.
And everybody starts
Yeah.
with it, even me.
Yeah.
I can remember, like, my first successful investment with crypto.
Yeah.
I spent $2,500 on a crypto project, and I made a lot of money. From my perspective, that time I made a lot of money. I think around 30K, 40K, but I sold it around 25K or something.
Yeah.
And it was huge money for me at that time. I was, I think, 21, 22, and I remember that the data I was, like, investing in affiliate marketing.
Yeah.
Right? I want to just doing affiliate
In a
marketing.
course, mentorship course.
Yeah, I
right?
paid, like, straight away, like 15K, bam, here, right?
Yeah.
I had an ad budget of 3K, and I bought a course with a private mentor. Right?
Yeah.
I was only fixed on quick money.
Quick money. Yeah.
And never brought me back. But that investment, I think almost 20K in total, brought me a lot of lessons.
Yeah.
So if I get, for example, now a lot of, let's say I receive like 10K, 20K, 30K, I'm just dealing with totally different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because
you
I
appreciate it more,
Yeah,
and value
exactly.
it more. Yeah.
And I think every youngster is making that mistake, making quick money, but the quickest it comes, as quick as it goes.
Exactly.
And the biggest example is drugs, right?
Yeah.
That's the biggest example.
Yeah.
And that's crazy, really. I've, alhamdulillah, experienced. You know what I think?
Yeah.
You know what it means?
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
How was that for you back in the day? Because I think a lot of football players, every individual is different, but how is that like receiving like a paycheck of 100K a month, paycheck of 200K? Does that change you?
Yeah, I've seen people change. Yeah, for sure. I've seen people change by it. But again, I think the most important thing is what you mentioned is that receiving a paycheck of that kind of money each and every month, makes you not really value it. Because look, at the end of the day, you're doing sports, you're doing something that you really love, you're being an athlete. So for you, it's like you're doing your hobby anyway, right? Obviously, there's a lot of stress and all other factors. But I mean, like, it's not like, you have done it. Like, for example, entrepreneurship, we love it, but there's so much more effort into building something than when you grow up as a 6-year-old and just, playing, and then eventually you become professional, which you always wanted, and eventually you see money on your bank account. It's different. So at that time, you don't really value it. But
isn't that a problem that because you never play football for money, right?
Yeah.
And then suddenly you receive money and nobody give you that guidance and it comes back to leadership, right?
Yeah.
For example, from your parents or from your brothers, whatsoever, right? And even now from agents.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you never get that guidance, like how to deal with money.
So definitely from my parents, definitely, like I mentioned, they teach me how to, cope with money, like meaning that save money, but they never taught us how to invest money, right? There's a different thing, right? So there's totally different. Saving money is actually the worst thing that you can do, right? Because at the end of the day, if you leave the money in your bank account, every single year inflation hits you, right? And inflation nowadays is around 10%, or not even in some countries, it's even more. So meaning that your money sits still, next year your money has less buying power, right? So you're obligated, you must learn how to invest, right? So you have to teach yourself, or either you have to get somebody trusted around you that is able to invest for you, right? So, and those are both very challenging, because trying to find somebody that you trust, that's also the biggest mistake of athletes, professional athletes, because they trust people around them, right, to handle their money, but they don't know if they are capable of handling it properly.
But they're still in that balloon, like, I just want to play.
They are not bothered. Exactly. They know, okay, I need to make the money work, Yes, I understand because yeah, I have money on my
Yeah,
bank
yeah.
account. I need to make it work. Okay, let's buy this and this. But the people that surrounding you, your friends, family, etc., they have nothing to do. They're just, they are just bystanders. They are next to you and they see you play and this and that. But they think, you know what? I can do it for you. You're right. I can invest it for you. I know how to do it. And you think, yeah, he sounds smart. Let's do it. But you have no idea. He doesn't know anything. What is he talking about, right? And he suddenly gets 2 million, 3 million in his pocket. Okay, show me. So now eventually, yeah, where's the 2 million? Where's the 3 million? Yeah, I invested it in this, but it went wrong and the guy screwed us over and this and that. Okay, all right, okay. Yeah, I understand. Okay, no problem. And then people come to you and they say, look, hey, I want to borrow money. I have a great idea. I just want to borrow money. Is that okay? And you look at your bank account and you say, yeah, there's enough there, right? So and don't know what to do with it. You know what? And I feel a bit bad because that also happens a lot with athletes. They feel bad towards their environment, right?
Yeah, of
The
course.
psychologically, they think they feel bad towards them, so they have to give it, right?
But that is a bit different, right? I mean, football players, they're really focused on playing football,
Yeah,
right? And it comes at the side, you get a lot of money.
yeah,
While entrepreneurs, they fixed on money to
yeah,
handle money and to make money
yeah,
in order to not lose money and how to, again, to make money, right?
yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, I think this is a difference,
Yeah.
I believe.
And it's a skill. Again, going to the 5-step formula, making money
Now you can skip
is a
anyone.
skill.
Yeah, yeah.
Is a skill. And this is what people have to understand. And this is what took me a lot of time to understand is that making money is a skill. And you need knowledge for it first and then implement the skill. And then it starts building a network and then more resources and then reputation. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
So, but what people have sometimes, with in sports, definitely, it's like we're talking about drugs, but sports is even in some areas even more crazy because athletes sometimes they are young and they are talented, and then suddenly a club comes and they give them $1 million contract, tens of millions easily, and you're just 18.
Yeah, because if you can take one example, I think even me, I'm older than him, but I can take an example from him as well. It's like Jude Bellingham.
Yeah,
He's 20, 21 years old.
yeah,
He's playing already for like over more than 3 years, like on a top level of football. Going to Real Madrid, getting all these attention and cameras and all these kind of things,
yeah,
are still being on your with your 2 feet on the ground.
yeah, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, he's a good example, by the way, because you do see with him, he has this arrogance over him, but still being humble and still intelligent, right? And you can see that his parents did a good job, definitely, because you see there's guidance behind him. And yeah, this is what lacks with a lot of it. I think the biggest example is Mike Tyson, right? I think 300 million or maybe $600 million of prize money that he just put down the drain.
What is the crazy things you have seen? Like, I mean, you have been playing football, right? And a lot of your ex-colleagues, I should say, your ex-colleagues, they have been, of course, you're joking around and on the locker room, right? And I mean, of course, you have been seeing crazy things. But what is the crazy thing you have ever seen that the football player did? You know what I mean?
Ooh.
I think, come on, man, you're a joke, man. You don't even worth to wear this or to get this. Why are you doing this?
Yeah, you mean like financially?
Yeah,
Like,
financially, yeah.
yeah, you know what the funny thing is, like when I grew up at Arsenal, right? And I mentioned this story in the last episode, is that we always had 2 separate parking spots. Like we had the parking spot for the reserves and we had the parking place for the first team, right? And you can imagine the first team parking spot looks much better, right?
Of course, yeah, yeah.
So we had crazy Lamborghinis, crazy Ferraris. I remember Thierry Henry having this Mercedes McLaren, which is still now a crazy valuable collection car. And I asked Van Persie also one time, Robin Van Persie. I asked him, I said, when you guys receive, when you guys see the someone else, other teammate having a new car, do you talk about it? Like, do you say, hey, wow, hey, Adebayor, you had a nice car, you know, where's the? You say no, we never discuss it, we never talk about it, we never speak about it, we never even mention it. I found that a bit weird. Might be a lot of jealousy also going around, right? Because you have to understand, in the changing room, you're sitting mostly with 35 or 30 or 25 alpha males, right?
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
at the end of the day, they are, and especially in the top level, right? You can imagine, look, Bellingham, for example, he's on the top. You see he's like alpha, even how he celebrates everything, right?
Yeah,
He's
of course.
really dominant. But imagine him in Real Madrid. You don't think Vinicius Junior is dominant? You don't think Rodrigo, Alaba, you don't think they are
That's the
dominant?
man's world. Yeah.
Exactly. So you're constantly in an alpha male environment, right? So it's like competing. So I can imagine when I asked that question, I couldn't imagine myself, because I would, if somebody would come with a crazy car, we did that even at the reserves. Like if somebody came with a car, wow, you got a nice car, right? Let me see, right?
But it's not like the youngsters, right? It's only it could be also an adult, like
Yeah,
player of 27 years old or 30 years old.
yeah,
It could be, yeah, of course, okay, makes sense.
yeah. So that didn't make sense to me.
But wasn't it a weird picture? Like you come in with a Lamborghini and you drive over there and you park at the reserve parking. I mean, it doesn't make sense, right?
Yeah, no, but that wasn't also not allowed, right? That wasn't allowed.
Wasn't allowed.
No, but sometimes when a first team player sometimes when a first team player had to play with the reserve team, like to keep himself fit, yes, he would arrive with his car. But sometimes they would still park on the first team spot, because it's a downgrade for them as well, coming to the reserve team parking place.
How was
and
that
so
maybe in Monaco? Because you played for AS Monaco as well.
Yeah,
AS Monaco is more a luxury place. I mean,
yeah,
one of the richest people in the
course,
world.
Monaco,
They're living
yeah.
up there. They have penthouses, on this kind of things.
yeah,
I mean, how was that then? Because I understand if in the UK it's a bit different, right?
yeah.
How was that in Monaco?
Yeah, that's a good question, because when I signed for Monaco, of course, I signed my first big contract, right? We're talking about millions in 4.5 years' time. I signed a big contract,
Give us
right?
the specific digits.
No, that I won't. But just to make you understand, it was a huge contract, right?
Yeah.
So the first thing I wanted to do was what?
Buy a car.
Buy a car. Every boy wants that. Every man wants that, right? So the first thing what I wanted is buying a car, because I got my driving license in England when I was 19, so I was quite a bit late. But why I didn't get it at 19? Because I knew my dad is not going to buy a car for me anyway, right? Because at the end of the day, I earned the money, but my father was managing the money, right? So I wasn't really touching it. I remember asking to buy a PlayStation 3 at that time. I had to ask permission for it, right? Dad, I'm now at the place to buy a PlayStation.
It was actually your money.
It was actually my money,
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
So I had to call him and I said, Dad, I'm here with a teammate of mine, and he bought it. He said, and I said, can I buy it? He said, no, not now. No, not now. So I had to wait a couple of weeks or whatever, and then I could buy it. But anyway, so I got my driving license at 19, right? And until 21, I just drove cars that the club provided for me or whatever. So now I signed a big contract, right? So now obviously I want to buy a crazy car like you always wanted. I remember my brother, right? Again, guidance, good environment. This is all important. So he said, look, Nasser, because I wanted to buy the Porsche Panamera, which was at that time the craziest new car, right? He said, hold on a second. He said, bro, go slowly. Buy a nice car, obviously, but slowly. So eventually I bought the Golf 6 R line, which is also an amazing car, right? And it's a crazy upgrade. But this only taught me, like, yes, there are steps in, developing. And again, the 5-step formula is not only for knowledge. It's also like when you talk to, investing and buying, luxury items or whatever. There are steps into it, There are steps into it. So obviously, going back to your question all the way back, is that the craziest things I saw, which for me were crazy and for me was like frustrating, is that I just saw them spending so much money each and every time, right? I just saw them buying the craziest cars, the craziest bags, the craziest watches, the craziest holidays, and often and often and often. And I just knew, because I knew in the changing room, you know what people make, you know their salaries, you know that thing. So I just knew you're going beyond your means, right? So that frustrated me in one sense, but you have no influence, because at the end
And
of the
probably you want to do the same as them,
yeah, exactly.
right? Because
Exactly.
if he rides a Lambo, or he rides a
Yeah, exactly.
Ferrari, he has a
Again,
AP or something, then you think,
yeah.
hey, wait a second, I want to have it as well.
That's it. Because why are we in that changing room every single day, and why are we on the pitch every single day? To compete. It's all competition, even amongst each other. It's constantly competition, and every Saturday you want to be on that pitch, and there are only 11, right? So yes, you're competing just in football terms, but at the end of the day, unconsciously, you're also competing
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
for what? Luxury items, shoes, cars, this and that.
Yeah.
Now I understand why from Percy, he said, no, we don't ask those questions. Because you're competing at the end of the day. But who had the craziest car? Thierry Henry, who was the biggest player, right?
Which car did he have at that time?
Yeah, this Mercedes McLaren, right? There was a crazy car. Still
crazy.
now it's I don't know, maybe $1 million, $2 million for this car. So yeah, but you do admire it. You know, it's something that, yeah, and you should be able to do it. But is everything going well on the other hand, right?
If a youngster sees this video and he has 300K, what would you advise him?
Yeah, that's a very good question, right? If there's an athlete now who
It
has
doesn't matter, athlete and just an average
yeah,
person.
anyone.
He has 300K on his bank account right now. What would you advise him?
So I think if somebody made 300K, he definitely must know something, right? I mean, he must do something right? Because getting 300K is not easy. So, but in any case, let's say he made that money in a quick fix. Let's say cryptocurrencies, for example, right? In that example, I would say, look, invest in the first step formula, knowledge, right? Acquire more knowledge about a certain subject, get courses, get mentorships, whatever. Try to increase your knowledge in that certain subject, right? But if he has 300K, yeah, there are different ways of investing, right? So I would say real estate.
Would you buy a car of 60 grand?
Yeah, that's exactly the mistake that I would warn him for. Yeah,
it's one of the mistakes is in common. Like for example, across the youngsters, right?
Yeah.
They're crazy.
Yeah,
Wow.
exactly. And yeah, it's hard. You know, it's tough because even yesterday I saw a video on YouTube, and it said, you know, the most difficult part is getting to 100K, right? Because if you earn, let's say, 10K a year, you can save 10K a year, yeah, and you get a 7% ROI within, I think he calculated it, I don't know how much, like 10 years or 15 years, you are at 100K, right? But now, when you make 7% on that 100K, now you will be really quick at $1 million,
Of
way
course,
quicker
because
than.
from the 10K to the million is 600.
Yeah, so it's
Right?
exactly. So it's, I don't know how he made the math, but anyway, it showed that when you can keep multiplying that 7%, it becomes a snowball effect, right? But then the person that criticized that YouTube video, he said, yes, it's true. Mathematically, what he just mentioned is true. But at the end of the day, implementing that is difficult because throughout that process, you see that money and then you get temptations, right? You want to spend it. You want to,
Of course, yeah, makes sense.
spend it on luxury items. But anyway, so yeah, I think we came again to the end of the podcast. We have done 2. So
Thank you, guys.
onto the next one. But yeah, again, thank you. And we appreciate it if you watched. And inshallah, we see you in the next one.
Inshallah. Thumbs up and subscribe, huh? Don't forget.
Yalla.